So yours is like a high quality podcast. I'm like, whatever.
Oh, I would never use that term to describe my podcast. It's rather low quality, but I do have a nice mic. That's about it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jess and the Guest. My guest today is the hilarious comedian, Jon Gabrus. You know him from Drunk History, Guy Code, Comedy Bang Bang, Wild 'N Out, and so many other things. He was in Bombshell. Crazy. We both started comedy at the UCB Theater in New York, so we talk a lot about improv, live shows, his work, comedy, guilty pleasure TV shows, and in this episode, he makes me laugh the entire time. This is one of my favorite episodes. I hope you like it.
You really go from like the beach to improv 101 class? Because I would have hated you so much. If I was...
Most people did hate me, so you wouldn't have been wrong. You wouldn't have been alone, Jessica. They truly, I was in board shorts, flip flops, and like a t-shirt, and my hair was dyed blonde, and I was super tan, and I was like, yeah, I like comedy, and I was just a real obnoxious asshole. And I was cocky as fuck. It was a problem, but I learned some humility, but also learned that my superpower is sort of like a unearned confidence. So I learned to harness that in those early classes too.
Do you remember who your 101 teacher was or anything?
Yes, my UCB 101 teacher's name, this would be 2002 or 2003, that summer, and it would be this guy George Bedecker. I don't know much about. He was only briefly a teacher. He's like a Chicago friend, I think, of the UCB, and he was like, because he wasn't around. Once I spent more time at the theater, he wasn't a teacher or a performer anymore. It was the only one that worked with my busy lifeguarding schedule. And so but in my level one, in hindsight, was Vanessa Bayer or Vanessa Bayer. How do you say her last name? Bayer. I think it's Bayer. from from SNL and amongst many other things, the very funny Tim Robinson sketch about brunch. But she was in my class, and we didn't remember each other. But a mutual friend, Shannon O'Neill, was like talking to her, and she was remembering people, and Shannon was like, "Oh, do you remember anyone from your class?" And like she could just place one person. She was like, he was like this like weird, like annoying guy from the. She probably didn't call me annoying because she's actually a kind human being, but she was like this like freak or whatever who come from the beach. And Shannon was like, "I bet that's Gabrus," and she looked up the old student records because she was running the school at the time, or the theater at the time, and she was like, "Yeah, no, I think that was Jon Gabrus who's in your class."
So funny.
Yeah, long time ago. Yeah.
And I've seen you do stand-up too, and you're very confident on stage. Like, were you ever nervous?
So I am frequently not nervous until I have to remember to do something. You know what I mean? Like if I just have to go up on stage and kind of just talk to the crowd, like I'm cocky enough that I'll be like, this will be fun. Or if I have to just do improv with friends, or just try to, you come sit down with us. 5 of us are doing this live podcast. You got to just chime in and be funny. Like that stuff doesn't make me nervous. That feels like stuff that I'm very well versed in, is sitting around and bullshitting at parties or doing it. But like if someone's like, "Hey, I need you to like walk out in the middle of this sketch and say these 3 or like, hey, thanks for shooting with us today. So your scene is just these 5 lines." Like the second that shit starts to happen, or it's like, all right, I'm going out there to do a monologue and I got to get it right. The second that starts to happen, my absolute fucking imposter syndrome sets off. And it's just like, I'm in my own head of like, who the fuck do you think you are? You're so dumb. You never practice memorizing lines. You could have read these lines 100 more times. You're getting paid to be here. Or this is an audition. You said you wanted this and you're not trying. You didn't try at all. You fucking idiot. Oh, fuck. Oh no. And like, I do not represent myself well in those situations. It all falls apart. The wheels come off, Jessica.
I feel like you're one of the smartest comics I've seen too. Even just like listening to some old podcasts that you did, like I was like, wow, he's so quick. Like you just think so much. You think very fast.
Thank you. I would maybe disagree with the smart comment, but I would agree with I think fast. My brain moves fast, for better and worse. Like it is ruining a lot of my relationships in life, but it benefits itself for like stream of consciousness comedy podcasting. Yeah, something I weirdly can always able to do, I think, was just speak like like people really want to hear what I have to say, whether or not I don't know what it is. Like I'm just like, yeah, I think everyone needs to hear from me right now, and it's like I feel so I appreciate that. I appreciate again the flatter. I again, you complimented me in the email asking me to do this podcast, and it truly worked on me. And now you're buttering me up with every question. Here we go.
Now all the mean questions.
Imagine after like 15 minutes of this, you're like, okay, well, that was really fun. Let's start rolling now. The podcast is sort of like a takedown of the patriarchy and why you're a member. And I'm like, oh no. Like, yeah, I buttered you up for fucking 25 minutes.
Yeah, now it's the real.
Now let's start the real show. Okay, it's a 3-part quiz about One Direction.
Yeah.
What?
Well, it's funny because like that's how my personality is, but I write a lot of roast jokes. Like that's kind of my stand-up style. So people are always shocked, and I'm like, I'm from Philly, so that's how we communicate. Like it's just like kind of like roasting each other. And then when I moved to LA, like people were like, "That's really kind of mean," and I was like, "No, it's a joke. Like that's how we show love, right?"
Yeah, this is how we talk to each other. This is friends. We're
I'm like, listen, asshole, and they're like, "What?"
I know exactly what you mean. Like I'm from New York. I'm from Long Island, and it's a very similar vibe as like those northeastern gritty cities are. I mean, Philadelphia really is the gritty city now due to possessing gritty. But I've always thought that like because my family was very a specific way, but it is cultural in this sort of New York, like, hey, Bafa cool, like just curse each other out, walk past each other. And I bring that energy to LA, bring that energy to UCB, where it's like all NYU kids who are all like, I love singing and improv comedy. And I'm like, oh, I like drugs, alcohol, and improv sort of.
Yes, no, that's exactly how I am too. I was like, people are like, everyone was like a musical theater, and I was like, I did sports growing up. Like, I don't.
I was like, oh, I don't know who Pippin is. I mean, Scotty Pippin. No, okay, a different Pippin. Yeah. Got it.
I was like Googling before my 101 class, like all the Star Wars references, because I kept getting like pimped into scenes, and I'd be like, I don't really know. But
that's a real recurring situation, I feel, for a lot of people at UCB. They're like, I might as well just watch Star Wars, or maybe now it's Harry Potter or something. It's like, I might as well just watch this shit so I can engage on this topic. That's pretty much why I ended up watching or reading fucking Harry Potter, because I was like, all these young kids keep bringing this goofy ass wizard up, so I better figure out what the fuck is going on.
I have to ask, what is the most Long Island thing about you?
Most Long Island thing about me is that I have a tattoo of it on my bicep, which is not like a traditional thing on Long Island, but it is very Long Island. Yeah. I think if a Billy Joel song comes on, I start like clapping and looking for a can of beer to open. So maybe that's like the most Long Island thing about me, is that Billy is triggering positively in my life.
I loved I think it was on Andy Richter's podcast where you were talking about how when you come home for the holidays, like your mom, like she doesn't like get things for you, and that's how I'm Italian, and my parents are like, when I come home and spend so much money, they don't like, not like, here you go, I've got things for you, or they're like, fix this, do this.
Yeah, no, I come home and my mom's like, oh, thank God you're here, can you come look at the printer? And I'm like, what? I live across the country. I haven't been here since before the pandemic. What do you my two brothers live in the same town as you. Go fucking ask them. And she's like, and when I tell my brothers, I'm like, dude, mom had me fix the printer right when I land. They're like, yeah, no shit. I had to fix it for her 3 days ago. She was too embarrassed to ask me again, I feel like. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And it's like, I'm like, flying home and then like running out to the grocery store to the next day to get like wine and beer and snacks so that we can like eat like normal and like hang out like we normally do. Like there's a weird shift in life, and I don't know when it happens. I mean, I'm 39 and my mom is a widow who lives alone, so we're at different stages of our lives, obviously, but I've like, my standard of living is now higher than my parents, like my parents' house. Like when you're in like college, you're like, oh, I'm home, thank God, there's fucking Diet Cokes in the fridge, or sick unlimited Cheez-Its, I don't have to pay for shit, none of my roommates stealing my cheese or whatever. And then when you're like post college, at least for me, and living in like trash in Brooklyn, and you're like, it's nice to go home, I can use like a shower I can stand in or whatever, and it's like, and then eventually you get to be a point where I'm not wealthy by any means. I still live in an apartment, have no dishwasher or washing machine, still at 40. But I do have some nice things, and I have what I want to have in the fridge. And then when I come home to visit my mom, I'm like, Mom, you should have fucking coffee in the fridge and coffee for me. Like, I like coffee. Like, you should have that for me when I come to visit. I have your bullshit when you come to visit me. And it's just like this disconnect where I'm like, oh, I'm more in that hosting stage of my life than my mother is. And I mean, she's not entirely nurturing in that way. She's more nurturing in like her love language is not that. It's taking you out to dinner to your spots she loves.
That's exactly how my mom is too. So I was like, yeah, no, I get it.
I like restaurants. I like eating, so I have no problems. Let's roll.
Was it a big change moving to LA? Like, I was surprised. It was a big change for me.
I adjusted fast, but I had been coming out here to do shows and to do work a little bit and then like had some friends here, so was staying with them for an extended period of time. And also a lot of people from my generation at UCB New York had already migrated out here. So when I landed, I had a bunch of friends that I haven't seen in a couple of years that like are now within driving distance of my house, and I have a car for the first time in 10 years as well. So it didn't feel, I felt shook loose as like I was kind of had like a thing going for myself in New York, like a routine and people, like you said, like doing shows, people knowing me. Then I came to LA and it was all different. And I was like, oh, right. This is like, I'm not just going to land and be the fucking big dog on campus. So I had to that was a small adjustment period, but I do like stuff like that. I like challenges like that. But otherwise, I adapted fast. It is not to keep going to talk about Long Island, but it is me, Jon Gabrus, on a podcast, so it might as well come up multiple fucking times. It's very much like Long Island. I feel like in Los Angeles, at least I live in like West Hollywood, Los Angeles area, and it really feels like Long Island because there's just like several main drags with some shopping centers on them, and then in between is the suburbs. It's like Sunset, Santa Monica, Melrose, Beverly, Third, from like La Cienega all the way to Highland is just like nonstop strip malls, gas stations, and all that, and like restaurants and all that stuff, and then in between all those streets, suburbs. And that's what just makes me feel like the Sunrise highways and the Hempstead turnpikes and the old country roads of Long Island sort of here again. And it's traffic city, and a lot of people who it's like a lot of shit. There isn't the roast culture energy here though. People wouldn't go to a place that was like, we'll put your face on top of your coffee. People in Long Island would be like, fuck this, and that place would have to go out of business. But in like LA, it becomes like an Instagram haven, and like people pay a fortune to go there.
I know. Well, I feel like also too, your range is crazy. I've never seen someone do like Comedy Bang Bang and Wild and Out and Bombshell. Like, you've done, I feel like, everything. I've never seen any other person do this.
I appreciate you calling it range, but I think what it really means is that whatever this little bullshit that I can do in a slightly different way. I do believe I like to do a bunch of different things, and my career has always been a number of different things, and I think that's enjoyable to me, like trying to, and I think that stems from coming up in comedy and being rewarded by improv, like learning that skill and unlocking what made the audience like that like feels cool. Like when you do multiple different kinds, like when you do different types of comedy audiences or styles and different venues and stuff like that, feels part of like, oh, I have to unlock the game of this scene or the game of this TV show, or how do I best add comedy to Wild and Out as this, which is not necessarily the same way I would best add comedy to Comedy Bang Bang, or the best way to do Drunk History. Like all these like kind of different things. And I think it stems from like ADHD too, where I'm just like, okay, here's like a new idea I want to try. Like, oh, that sounds fun. I'll do that.
Yeah.
And maybe I would be quote unquote more successful if I focused on something. It was like, this is what I really want to do. And like just did it. Like but that doesn't appeal to me. I'd rather just be scrambling around, stumbling upon new shit that I have to like concern myself with.
Yeah. I think it's
but I do appreciate you. I never thought of it as range. That's a very flattering way to put it. I always just thought of it as myself as like and I do like that comes from my child. I think like I'm able to roll in different crowds. I always like kind of was like as a kid, I was like friends with this group, and I could like I played D&D and football. You know, I lived in like all Black and Hispanic town, and then I moved to like a Jewish and Irish and Italian town. So like I grew up in a lot of times in a lot of different subcultures, and like any middle class like tri-state area kid, you know, I was like a skater. I had like every phase, you know, I was like a skater, a surfer, a jock, a fucking dirtbag. Like I did all these phases where you run with different crowds. And I was always, you know, found myself being like, I always make like the crew guys laugh more than I make like actual comedy people laugh. You know, like that's like whenever I'm hosting a show, it's like the camera guy's like, that was fucking funny, bro. And it's like, thanks, Dean, or whatever.
See, I would want to make them laugh more than anyone else too. Then like,
that is the victory. That is the victory. But they don't sign your checks, so you got to make everybody laugh.
Yeah, I do think it's such a skill because, like, I don't know. When I started, I just thought you were either funny or you weren't, and then there was like, oh, there's writing, there's this. Like, I didn't realize writers sometimes are so different than performers, and there's just so many different.
Well, also the crazy thing that I had to learn too was that it just being the funniest doesn't mean you get anything. It's not like the funniest person is the one who gets to host the TV show. The funniest person who gets cast in. Like Lucille Ball is an insanely funny person, but like the funniest person can't just be Lucy. Like like that she was perfect for that. Like there's a lot it's always like, I'm funnier than that guy who got this comedy role. And it's like, but unfortunately that's not what matters. And it's true. And all you know, once you learn that the metric is not how funny you are, but some complicated algorithm of 1,000 different that would destroy your ego if you actually knew them all. Once you find that, you're like, I'd rather not dabble. I'd rather not activate and learn anything about that. Peace out on that.
Oh, it's such a good point too, because I used to get so mad and be like, but I'm doing more. Why did this, and like, work on all that stuff. But
right. Well, and it's also like maybe the person who isn't the funniest person you're talking to is creating some of the funniest blank, you know what I mean? Like, or some of the people like me who are very funny to talk to, but isn't necessarily, like pointing to any comedy roles I did and was like, that guy, like, like Ted Danson's like Sam from Cheers, but like he's like I'm probably funnier and hanging out in person with him. But like I don't have any fucking Sam or Becker or fucking Mayor characters floating around. Mr. Mayor,
I know.
Good Place. I'm like this. I picked the weirdest guy to use that as an example there.
I was watching your old Wild and Out last night, like
so
as I always do. No, it still holds up. Like all the jokes were really funny, I thought. And like, what was it like roasting Nelly, basically?
It was fun. I had never done anything like that. Sort of like, it's short form, but I have done short form improv, and that's what it is. And it's really just that, but with like way more personality piled on top of it. Like you really make everything your own. And that's sort of like something I can also do. So showing up there and being like the fat token white guy for once was like a nice flip too. And I was also like, in hindsight, I didn't realize this when I first arrived there. I was like a few years older than a lot of people too, because I was like a little established on MTV too, which is kind of how I got in to do a Wild and Out. And then once I was there, I was actually kind of fun and people liked me. And then I did a few years. Then I got too old. Then I got invited back for a couple episodes for the old school versus new school season. And now I think I'm actually too old. And why I think last time they were like, it's a dance off. And I was like, I'm not doing this game. And they were like, okay, yeah, I think we have to stop hiring you. I was like, yeah, I don't want to dance. I had a lot of fun doing all the bullshit. I loved hanging with those guys. Like I met a lot of great comics that I mean, if I'm being honest, like I was exposed to a lot of comedians that I had never been exposed to before, thinking that I knew a lot of comedians. And I met like dozens of very funny young Black people that I just was not seeing in my myopic UCB downtown New York to LA comedy mindset, podcast, indie comedy bullshit. These guys are doing all kinds of different shit. And it was so like, the fact that I met Chico, DC, and Carlos, who do the 85 South podcast. Those guys are insanely funny and doing like they have an insanely huge podcast called the 85 South podcast. It's awesome. It's so funny. I watch it so frequently. And I don't know many of my friends that do watch it or listen to it, however you want to phrase it. And it's like, oh, it's just like, and so getting to go over there and meet a lot of those people and get like my eyes open to new comedy and like learn from guys like Carlos Miller, who's like a fucking one of the funniest. Like I've had like these sort of semi-mentor. Another good thing about my sort of polymathic career of jack of all trades, barely good at any, is that jumping from all these jobs, I'm always like, I'm learning at Wild and Out how Wild and Out works. I'm learning on Comedy Bang Bang how Comedy Bang Bang works. But while I'm on Comedy Bang Bang, I'm learning from Paul F. Tompkins, Lauren Lapkus, Tim Baltz, and like these people. And then when I'm at Wild and Out, I'm learning from Corey Holcomb and the 85 South guys or Hitman Holler or something like that. So I'm like constantly in these new environments, and I like that because in my head everything's a fucking video game, and it's like now you have an 85 skill number in improv. Now you have an 80 skill number in blah blah blah. So it's like fun for me to feel like I'm I am a curious person. I like to learn a lot and know a lot. And forget it a ton as well. I like to just process it and shit it out in my brain and never think about it again. But I think that's part of why I like all the jumping around all different jobs. And again, goes back to the improv of like, I like the discovery of it. I like the discomfort, the feeling of like, all right, I'm jumping out there. Let's figure out what it is. So you can chase that with like taking weird jobs as well. It's like, okay, I guess I'm putting on this Ben Franklin outfit and going to UPenn alumni party and posing with old ladies.
Please tell me that's real.
That's real. That's real. I did that for like Ben Franklin's 200th birthday or something. It was insane.
Yeah, you gotta. Wait, do you think
when you're 24 in New York and unemployment's running out and someone offers you $200 to say a penny shaved is a penny earned to like a woman with cataracts, then fucking take it. Don't look a gift card horse out in the mouth.
I sometimes look back at New York. I'm like, how did I live? Like, how did I survive that? Because same thing, like, just I lived in a one bedroom. We made a 3-bedroom, and like it was just.
Oof, yeah. I lived in a loft. I lived in like a fucking treehouse thing that was on top of the dining room, and the ceiling was only 5 feet high in my bedroom. I also for a long time lived with my wife and a friend in a 2-bedroom, like back when we were just dating, like just being poor kids. Like we were splitting a 2-bedroom 3 ways, like, and this dude was just the ultimate, like he's one of our best friends, but he's like, we would just put him in the ultimate third wheel situation for like 6 years.
So filming Drunk History, to me, it would be my like biggest nightmare. If I got drunk, I'm like, let me tell you, like I would say something horrible, probably.
No, I think,
how did you do
it? Well, there is still the self-conscious energy of having the cameras on you, which be hitting. But the thing about Drunk History is that it's kind of like planning for like at least for me, doing drunk history in my mid-30s was like, shit, I have like a book report and a party tonight. I have to prepare both. Like I have to drink a shit ton later, so I have to like play my day well. And then it's also like I really have to know a shit ton about Ida Tarbell. So I better sit down and like study the Ida Tarbell materials, study the story I want to tell, remember a bunch of fun facts, come up with some jokes I want to say. And then also you're like, okay, and here we go. Time to take down a bottle of Casamigos. And it's just like, but for me, I think, like that Malcolm Gladwell bullshit of like 10,000 hours. I think I have 10,000 hours of drunkenly spewing my thoughts on arbitrary topics. So I felt like drunk history was something I like was low key training for since I was like 12 years old and first got drunk on fucking Mad Dog 2020 and explained why Fight Club was the best movie or whatever. I'm just doing that same thing now, but on podcasts or at, wherever someone will have me. Drunk history was such a fun job. I never done anything like that. It was weirdly thrilling, there's an EMT on set. You like learn a new subject, which I love, then you get to get absolutely blasted, and like you're just like, I didn't do it, I fucked up, right? It's so bad. And every time Derek and Greg, one of the producers, are like, you did a great job, it's going to be fine, trust us, we know how to cut these together, it's going to work. And every time you're like, because you're drunk and you're self-conscious, you're like, I fucking sucked, right? And then the next morning you're like sending texts where you're like, I'm so sorry I fucking blew your episode. And they're like, no, you blew the sound guy. And I'm like, oh.
So fun. I love to what's it called, the wedding coach with you and Jamie Lee and you together was great. But
yeah, I love Jamie Lee. That was a lot of fun. I got to go to Texas and go to a Nigerian wedding and wear traditional Nigerian clothes, I think, at least. I was told they were. I mean, if you watch it and find out I was culturally appropriating, I'm so sorry. I literally I like asked so many times, I'm like, you promise this is not like obnoxious of me to wear? They're like, no, people want you to wear it. And I was like, if I'm wearing this thing in the episode, you have to show footage of someone you have to show a Nigerian person or a Nigerian American saying it's okay for me to wear that. Like, it needs to be in the episode. I'm not fucking going down for some shit you asked me to put on. But I put it on and I felt amazing in it. It looks good. It's so stylish. It's more comfortable than a fucking suit with a tie. It was so much better. And I was like, hell fucking yeah. And I got to eat a bunch of Nigerian food, which I am a fan of. So that was particularly exciting for me, which is not something you get to have, like Nigerian cake. That's very small world view of me. That's not something I get to have. I should not use the proverbial you. Maybe I'm assuming more people eat Nigerian food than I do, but like it's a huge country.
But I think in the episode you said, I might butcher it, but you said something like always be the drunkest or the second drunkest person, and I think of that all the time when I go to parties. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna be the second drunkest person.
Well, because the drunkest person is the one that people remember negative. If you, so all you have to do is aim to just not be the most wasted. You don't have to be in control. You don't have to. I mean, now in hindsight, maybe everyone should be, and we should like take care of ourselves. Alcohol is poison, all that stuff. But no one ever is like, oh God, Jessica was such a fucking nightmare drunk. Well, Gabrus was pretty drunk too. Yeah, but Jessica was worse. It's like, right. Like, no one's gonna, let's dig in on what Gabrus did. No, it's you that's taking you're taking all the shrapnel for us at that point.
And did you really go to 20 bachelor parties? Is that a real
something
thing?
Like that? I've been to at least like 15 bachelor parties, and I probably should count them up, and it's probably 20. But like I've been to like 15 bachelor parties, and like, I've only been in wedding parties like 9 times. Now I know that's not a standard overlap of like, if you're in the bridal party or the groom's party, you're at the stag party, bachelorette party, whatever you want to call it. hen do, as the Brits and Aussies call it. Whatever you're doing, like it doesn't have to be your wedding party, but a lot of people sometimes go like that. But what am I fucking talking about? Who cares? And who cares? Next question. Pass.
And then I'm so excited for the High and Mighty. Let's have a couple rapid fire questions.
Oh shit.
Wait. So I was doing some research on you, and there are so many I've never seen more posts, like Tumblrs. Your fans are like very hardcore. Like I've never seen
hardcore in what I have a lot of vocal fans that objectify me in a way that I am completely okay with. It's
I've never seen, like, even with, like, I was like, wow, like you've been objectified more than any female comic I've seen, and like that's a lot.
I know, it's unfortunate because I am actually asking for it. Like, I know that's an expression a lot of people use as a negative, but I am truly asking for it. So I am appreciative.
Yeah.
I've always, I guess I am a specific type that activates some people's pleasure centers, and a lot of those are gay men, and not all, but mostly. And I've always found it flattering. Just because I'm not gay doesn't mean it doesn't feel good for anyone to tell you you're attractive.
Yeah.
So it rules for me. And but it is something weird how frequently, like, I'll stumble across something about me, and it's like, if you search Jon Gabrus in Google, like the third one down is like wife. Like, there people are like, wait, is he married? Wait, is he gay? Please tell me.
Yeah, I was just shocked. I was like, oh my God, there's like a lot of it's never ending.
Yeah. Tumblr was big with that. Yeah, and then I was like, get like put on random like aggregators like Bear Party or like chubster.net or something like that, and then it gets picked up by way more people. I did like a sketch video show called Strong Island with my buddy a while back, which I think you could track down on YouTube. I wouldn't, but there. Like you can. Oh, it's still there. Oh, great news. But in it, we at one point get naked at a party and we pixelated ourselves. Yeah. And it was like a funny gag. And in this, I thought it was at least. And then someone on the internet photoshopped a me being nude using that photo, like, because I was so they added a fake like pubic and area and genitals, and like
the whole time I didn't see that, but I'm not surprised at all. It was,
But here's the thing, someone's like, oh, you can tell them to take it down or whatever, and I was like, they gave me like a really nice penis.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
So honestly, I was like, leave it out there. If anyone thinks this is real, I'll take that. I'll take that shine. So please leave it.
That's amazing. I feel like you already answered the question. I was just gonna ask if you had any like crazy fan interactions, but I feel like that's someone
that is one of them. Yeah. For sure.
All right, there's a couple quick rapid fire questions. All right, what is the dumbest injury you've ever had?
The dumbest injury I split my head open jumping up to lick cupcake frosting off of a cupcake that was on top of the toaster oven, and I hit my head on the corner of my cupboard, and I was bleeding.
God.
All because I couldn't wait to lick the fucking
I've been there.
Frosting.
Oh my God. I'm glad you're okay. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Yakety yak, Don't Talk Back. Someone explained to me, I'm not a big karaoke person. I'm not very comfortable singing in front of people, but that song is like under 2 minutes and everyone knows the lyrics and it's just yelling. So like you can like, it gets the party going and no one also like is mad at you. You know what I mean?
I mean, great. And last question, do you have any like guilty pleasure TV shows or embarrassing TV shows you watch?
I watch an inordinate amount of bullshit. I find nothing. My taste is awful and garbagey, and highbrow and annoying and obnoxious. So like I have no guilty pleasures, but here's a show that I watch that I know like I'm uncomfortable offering other people up to watch. Like the show C on Apple TV with Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista. It takes place in post-apocalyptic. Now I'm going to just pitch the show on this fucking podcast. Great. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic America where everyone who's still alive, the small percentage of civilization that's still around, is blind. Everybody. So like changes all the culture and what that means and communication and all that shit. And then some sighted people are born and it changes. And it's very tribal and sort of like the fight choreography. It's very violent. The fight choreography, because everyone is blind, is very interesting. Like how they go about fighting each other and the traps and strategy that they lay for each other since everybody's blind. It just plays a fun game.
All right, I'm going to watch this because now I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly. And you'll be like, holy shit, I didn't know how many people are watching this show. It's getting a third season.
I've never even heard of it, but I will. Yeah, that's the best one I've heard so far. So.
Thank you.